Hi everybody, I'm Anna Kachikan. This is the Anna Report, where every Wednesday I sit with you guys and we discuss dating and relationships. And holy shit, I cut my hair. I went and saw Nick Flores at the Sally Hirschberger salon on La Cienega, and we chopped it off. So when I left the salon, I was like, just felt like Laura Croft. Like I was like feeling it. I'm like, oh, like I just wanted to kick some fucking trash cans as I left the salon. I was like, oh, Nick, yeah, give it to me. So it was pretty awesome. I felt them right. And so all the show topic ideas that I had for today, I was like, scratch it, trash, no, I don't want to do any of it. I want to do something meaningful. And right away, what popped in my head was sexual harassment because of the recent allegations of sexual misconduct against, movie producer Harvey Weinstein. Women coming forward and with the hashtag, the movement started with the hashtag Me Too, where women were like, I'm a victim of sexual harassment, whether at work or in life in general, and women. And then Alyssa Milano, the actress Alyssa Milano, she made a suggestion. She was like, wait. That's great that the women are doing that, but how can we get the guys to also be responsible? So why don't we start the hashtag It Was Me for the men, for a chance for the men to take responsibility? And because the movement is that the women are coming forward and saying that they're victims, and so then it's but it's a way for the men to respond by taking responsibility for their part. And by the way, that's not to say that men are not victims of sexual harassment as well. So I just want to clarify that men are actually victims of sexual harassment, but we don't really talk about it. But I want this to be a place, so if you are a victim, I want you to come forward and have the conversation. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I keep attending these panel discussions on women's rights and issues and the movement and harassment and equality. And I always look around and go, well, where are the men? Why aren't we including the men in this conversation? I feel like the men need to be here as well, and I think that they want to be at the table in this conversation, and they should be in the conversation. And I thought, well, I have a 90% male audience, so I'm going to open this conversation to the guys, because it also traces back to our topic from last week, which was vulnerability. And we talked about how can you practice vulnerability. And I think that this is an amazing opportunity, and I want to hear you guys talk about be vulnerable as far as like sexual harassment goes, whether you've been a victim or if you have participated in sexual harassment. And I think that we can all relate to the conversation. I didn't know this, but did you guys know that the term sexual harassment is as new as the 1970s? So before 1970s, there was no concept of sexual harassment, hence Anchorman. Remember Anchorman? Remember all the sexual harassment that was happening during Anchorman? It was in the 70s. And what's her name? She's a professor. Shoot, what's her name? I forgot her name. Lynn Farley from Cornell University. She was doing a study, and that's where she realized holy shit, women were reporting so much of sexual harassment in the workplace. There's actually a documentary, by the way, if you guys want to check it out. I haven't seen it yet myself, so that's on my to-do list. It's from Retro Report. It's called Why Hasn't Sexual Harassment Disappeared? It's supposed to be unbelievable. I have my personal stories of sexual harassment in the workplace, and it didn't feel good. It felt like I wanted to drop kick his motherfucking ass to the ground. But you remain professional. You remain professional, and I did. But looking back at it now, I was young. I didn't know better. But you know what I realized from those experiences of getting sexually harassed in the workplace? You know what I realized? That the one time I spoke out, I called his ass out, and I made a big deal out of it. My boss made a big deal out of it, and he made sure that the guy knew better moving forward, right? And so looking back at it now, I'm thinking, well, maybe if we spoke up more often, that people will actually respond and do something about it, right? Like that your boss will actually step up and call his ass out. And he did. So my personal experience has been, yes, I have been sexually harassed, and there's a spectrum of sexual harassment, right? There's the rape, to the inappropriate comments, to the touching, to the groping, all of that. There's a spectrum. I'm not gonna go into what has happened to me personally, the specifics, because I do not want to relive it. Like just thinking about this topic and preparing for it today pissed me off. And it's actually kind of funny because I remember, actually no, I'm not gonna go into details. But yes, there's a spectrum, and it doesn't mean that, and there's so many really nice guys who have made this mistake, right? They're just normal people who have made the mistake of sexually harassing a woman in the workplace or anywhere, but they didn't know better. And so for them to come forward now and be so vulnerable as to, dude, some of these tweets that these guys put themselves out there were like, this guy said, #it was me, and I was a piece of shit. I can't take it back, and no apology is enough. I can only work to be a better human. Applause. Another guy wrote, #it was me. I let things go on for a few seconds past her saying, please no. 35 years ago, and it haunts me. I'm so sorry. This other guy wrote, the nuance of why what I did was so creepy is too long to fit into 140 characters, but #it was me. And this one other guy, because Twitter allows you to only write for 140 characters, so he went to Facebook and he said, I'll be 66 in a few days. When I was a child, I said I hate girls. When I was a teen, I sought after sex with as many girls as possible, and I denigrated them for both their willingness and unwillingness. When I was an adult, I used female epithets to attack men for lack of masculinity. I harassed women sexually, and I had sex with prostituted women in countries where we tramped in with uniforms and guns. I used pornography without a thought for the women who were used and abused to make it, and I objectified women relentlessly. I used women, I devalued women, I betrayed women. I was wrong, I am sorry. Sexual predation is not women's problem, it is ours. Fess up, repent, turn around. He said. And that is a definition of vulnerability right there. And some people might say, so what, you coming forward and saying, you being vulnerable, like, I know it's not going to change anything, but it's a step forward. And the reason why I say it's a step forward is because, again, there's so many different levels of sexual harassment. Like, for example, use the like palm open emoji, okay? So let's practice vulnerability right now. Admit right now if you've enabled the gender power dynamic, use this emoji. If you've enabled the gender power dynamic, have you been silent in the moment when you should have spoken up? This is so common. Women do this too. Have you been silent when you should have spoken up? Like, did you witness sexual harassment and did you not say anything? Were you silent about it? What I'm trying to say is that we've all been there, right? So that is all, sadly, yes. I know, me too. Me too. Nowadays, gonna drop kick that trash bin, right? With my hair, my Lara Croft hair. Have you doubted the stories that women have told of sexual harassment? Or this is probably more common with the men, right? Like, has anyone ever came to you and confessed how they were sexually harassed and you doubted them? You're like, are you sure? Are you sure your brain remembers it right? Put that emoji if that's true. Have you objectified women? Objectified women. Women objectify women all the time too. Have you objectified women? Yep. Have you ignored the physical boundaries? And my last one and my favorite one, admit you did it because you didn't know better. But all of these contribute to our issue in society of sexual harassment, because we all take a part in it, is what I'm trying to say, men and women. And I commend the women for coming forward through the Harvey Weinstein situation. The women, powerful women who have so much to lose, right? These women have worked so hard in the entertainment industry to get up there, and they have so much to lose, and they're like, you know what? They're putting their careers on the line. They're coming forward. They're calling out these fuckers. And I commend them for that, right? And I just wish that the men would join in on the conversation, because, and I love that hashtag, it was me, because for every, I love it, for every single woman who tweeted me too, there was a, it was me, right? So where are they? Like, why don't we start taking responsibility, you know, practicing vulnerability? Have you gone through anything that these women have? I have not gone through anything remotely close. I have a lot of friends who have gone through similar situations, but I have consistently experienced sexual harassment consistently in the work environment when I was working in television. I also witnessed the women, and I was silent about it. I feel like women harass men more in the workplace. And again, like I said earlier, absolutely, I encourage the guys to come forward and share those stories too, because we should include you guys in this conversation. Lena says, I'm so happy this all came out because my daughter is going in the field. Thank you, Lord. I had to talk to my daughters about this. I give all these women props for speaking out. Hector says, Anna, I work in education, and it is sad to see our young generation being exposed to this, and for me to witness this and break the cycle of what they think is acceptable and the norm. I actually think, Hector, I don't think it's sad. I think that it's empowering that we're talking about it, because I don't want to have that weird, uncomfortable, silent situation where I'm like, did he just say that to me? Right? I don't want that, because we don't know how else to respond. We resort to the silent, like, okay, that just happened to me, or he just said that to me, right? Versus when he or she says that to you, you go, no. I think that opening up the conversation and letting the men in on this topic is very crucial. Allowing the men to be vulnerable, the ones who have, like, allowing them to admit, because it ultimately comes down to being mindful. I think once we are mindful, we'll be able to do better. And that is very important to this cause, in my opinion. And most importantly, I think that we need to include the men in this conversation. And I want the guys to talk about it. I want you guys, every week we sit here, we talk about it. You have my email address. You can message me. You can comment. I want you to share your experiences. And I want you to be vulnerable. I want you to say, I did that. Yesterday at work, I saw my female coworker literally get groped. And I didn't say anything. And now I regret it. I don't know what to do. I don't want to hold it in. I don't want to hold it. I want to say something. And you should be able to say something. And I did. When I did, it helped me. It worked. Hector says, I guess what I meant is responding to sexual harassment when it happens and opening up the conversation, explaining that it is not okay and saying something whether young or old. Yep. You just gotta speak up. And I think that holding it all in has a very different effect as well, whether you witnessed it, whether you experienced it, or whether you performed the act. All three parties are terribly affected by it when this happens, and we've all done it, we've all been affected by it, and we've all witnessed it. James says, I think that every single person should take this as a teaching moment. We should all strive to be better people and to speak out if needed. That's it, James. That's it. But you know what? Super shitty people like Harvey Weinstein exist in this world. And guess what? They have money, they have power, right? And how? Like, how? Why did karma allow Harvey Weinstein to get to where he is? Why? Jewish nepotism, get Weinstein where he is. He was banging Karma and her sister. This is true. The higher he is, the higher he will fall. Keeping quiet perpetuates the behavior. It absolutely does. And I saw it happen. The second they never get in trouble, they just continue and continue and continue. Nick says, I've been very verbal. That's why I don't have many male friends. I think that's okay. I have friends who live by certain norms that I completely disagree with. And I think once I hit 30, I was like, I don't want this person in my life anymore. And I'm okay with not having certain people who do not live up to the same standards as I do. I'm okay with it. I'm completely okay with it. I don't think that 30 minutes was remotely close to the density of this conversation, the importance of this topic. And like I keep saying over and over again, is I welcome the men to the conversation. I think the men have to be at the table when we're discussing this. It's really important. And I just wanted everyone who watches me every Wednesday, or you just saw me for the first time, to know that if there's anyone who cares and wants to hear your opinion, your voice, and I'm here, and I truly do believe that the men need to be a part of the conversation, and you are welcome to the table, even if they take away a smidge of some, like just even the idea of let's just be mindful that these things are going on and that our children are going to grow up to work in environments where people are silent, they are, you know, objectifying women, and it just doesn't make it okay, and it's not okay, and it needs to stop with men and women. It doesn't matter the gender. It just has to stop. Have a good night, you guys. Bye.